What's up, Bucs fans and Pewter people? Bailey Adams from PewterReport.com back here with you as we continue our Bucs 50 Most Memorable Games series, which of course will take us all the way up to Week 1 of the 2025 regular season, the Bucs' 50th season as an NFL franchise. We are now on to Week 6 of the series, Week 6 of 10, which means we're past the halfway mark. We've got 25 games down. This week we'll have games 26 through 30, and we'll keep it going with 5 games at a time every Thursday, every Throwback Thursday, until we wrap up with games 46 through 50, just a few days before Tampa Bay's season opener at Atlanta. If you missed last week's video, we covered games 21 through 25 on our list, and that range between 2003 and 2005. And of course, that video is right here on our Pewter Report TV YouTube channel if you want to catch up. So this week, we pick back up in 2006. So we're a few years removed from that Super Bowl victory over the Raiders. Some fun games coming up. This might have been, early days of the dark times where, the Bucs didn't make the playoffs after 2007 until we saw, of course, into 2020. But there were some fun games during this era. This is a very fun thing to go back to because some of those seasons you like to forget about, right? When they lose all these games and losing seasons, missing the playoffs is never fun. But there were some fun back and forth games, and that will start here in 2006. We will go to October 22nd, 2006, the Buccaneers and the Eagles. The Eagles, of course, popping back up on this list as they have so often. Things went really right for a while for the Bucs here in this one. Then they went so wrong, and then some last-second heroics saved it. It did start with a 37-yard pick six by this man, Rondé Barber, before Matt Bryant connected on a 30-yard field goal. And then Rondé Barber had another pick six in this game, a 66-yard pick six, to make this one a 17-0 lead, but the Eagles came back. They got back within 17-14 by the halfway point in the fourth quarter before another Matt Bryant field goal made it 20-14 with only 2:49 to go. But it wasn't over from there. A 52-yard touchdown pass from Donovan McNabb to Brian Westbrook with 33 seconds left gave the Eagles a 21-20 lead, and 33 seconds to go. Not a lot of time for the Bucs to save this one, yet they did it anyway. Michael Pittman returned the ensuing kickoff 37 yards, and from there, all it took was a Bruce Gradkowski 11-yard completion to Michael Clayton, and then a 9-yard run by Bruce Gradkowski to set up this man, Matt Bryant, for a potential game-winning 62-yard field goal, and Bryant nailed it. He just got enough of it, got it through the uprights, still the longest field goal in Bucs history, a 62-yarder at the buzzer to beat the Eagles at Raymond James Stadium. One of, outside of probably the iconic calls in the Super Bowl years and all that, one of Gene Deckerhoff's best calls, in my opinion. He called Matt Bryant his hero, and it was just complete, it was complete emotion from that one. And always good for the Bucs to beat the Eagles, right? And this one, especially after they almost let it slip away, Matt Bryant coming through as the hero late. This was actually the highest attended regular season game at Raymond James Stadium, too, until they added the end zone seats for the 2022 season when Tom Brady was in town. And then, of course, the creamsicle game in 2023 ended up actually surpassing this game even without those end zone seats as the creamsicles returned that day. But as I mentioned, Barber had the 2 pick sixes in this game, and he had a forced fumble. So 3 turnovers forced by number 20 here, the Pro Football Hall of Famer. And the Bucs got outgained 506 to 196, but it didn't matter. Didn't matter in the end, as Barber got it done on defense, and Matt Bryant got it done for the special teams and, of course, the late game heroics with the 62-yarder. Matt Bryant is my hero. Still remember that, from time to time, and it just makes me smile. So that was the start of this week's video in 2006. We'll move on now to 2007. Another very iconic call from Gene Deckerhoff in this one. December 16th, 2007, the Bucs beating the Falcons 37-3. Definitely the most memorable moment from this game was Michael Spurlock becoming the first Buccaneer to return a kickoff for a touchdown in franchise history. Obviously 1976 is when we started this journey, and 2007. It took until then for a Buccaneer to return a kickoff, but again, this was Rondé Barber Day, early on again, as he had another pick six, a 29-yarder to start things off. Morton Anderson then kicked a field goal to make it 7-3, and that's when it happened. The Bucs finally did it. Michael Spurlock going 90 yards to make history. Run, Michael, run, Michael, run. Just a fantastic moment. And funny story about this one for me, it's on a personal note. I kind of cringe sometimes when I think about this because it was a game that I was supposed to be at. My family had tickets to this game. But then I got invited to a friend's birthday party, and I'm a good friend, so I went to my friend's birthday party, and we're actually driving by Raymond James Stadium as we're listening to this play on the radio, and that we were right by the stadium. We rolled down the windows, and we could hear the crowd going absolutely crazy for this. So yeah, always funny to remember that I was supposed to be at that game, but I just had to be a good friend, didn't I? I don't regret it, but I kind of do a little bit. Still, really, really good one. That was a big moment in Buccaneer history, and the rest of the game was just pure domination from the Bucs. An Ernest Graham 1-yard touchdown run, a 1-yard touchdown pass from Jeff Garcia to Anthony Beck. Those are the offensive scores in this game. It was a 37-3 win. Three-headed attack on the ground. Ernest Graham went 79 yards and a touchdown on 22 carries. Michael Bennett ran 10 times for 65 yards, and Michael Pittman ran 12 times for 48 yards. So kind of going at it from three different angles there on the ground. As I mentioned, Barber had the interception. Jermaine Phillips had an interception as well. And then Gaines Adams, Quincy Black, and Styles G. White all forced fumbles in this one. This clinched what would actually be the Bucs' last division title until 2021. So like I said, entering some dark times here, but still a very, very memorable one in this one for the Bucs. Clinching the NFC South, highlighted by Michael Spurlock's kickoff return for a touchdown, 90 yards to get it done and make some history. We will skip ahead. We're going from December 16th of 2007 past the 2008 season and into 2009, into pretty late 2009, as the Buccaneers were on the road at the Superdome, December 27th, 2009. And this one was an unbelievable comeback for Tampa Bay. And what was otherwise a lost season, they went 3-13. But this was a highlight. This was a highlight as this was a game where they beat the eventual Super Bowl champion Saints, and they did so in stunning fashion. The Saints went up 17-0, on the arm of Drew Brees, of course, and the Bucs, didn't really have any answers early, but then they came back again. This is maybe the theme of this video is the comeback kids, as Connor Barth hit a 34-yard field goal just before halftime, and then Cadillac Williams ran for a 23-yard touchdown early in the fourth quarter. And then with just under 3 minutes to go, Michael Spurlock did it again. He did it again. A 77-yard punt return for a touchdown. That was the game-tying touchdown to make it 17-17. And then the Saints really had a chance to win this one late. Garrett Hartley lined up for a potential game-winning field goal from 37 yards out, but he hooked it as time expired, and that sent the game to overtime. And from there, the Bucs won the coin toss. They drove right down the field, and Connor Barth, again, coming through, hitting a 47-yard game-winning field goal to stun the Saints. It was a 17-0 deficit the Bucs erased to win 20-17 in overtime. The first time in franchise history that the Bucs had beaten the eventual Super Bowl champions. And, of course, Michael Spurlock did win NFC Special Teams Player of the Week in this game for that 77-yard game-tying punt return late in the ball game. This was a very dark season and a 3-13 year for the Bucs, but right after Christmas of that year, managing to come through with a very big and memorable win. I remember actually watching this one with a friend. Shout out my guy Everett. We were watching this up in his house, and I just remember going absolutely crazy when Hartley missed that field goal. So, dark times that year, but a fun one and a memorable one nonetheless. On to 2010, which again, this was actually a fun year. Of course, everybody remembers that year being the 10-6 season under Raheem Morris, and they were able to win some games in some crazy fashion. This one was on the road against Cincinnati, against the Bengals, and the Bucs won this one 24-21, and it was all about late interceptions for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Early on, it was the Bengals taking an early lead on a 43-yard touchdown pass from Carson Palmer to Terrell Owens. Cody Grimm then had an 11-yard pick six to tie it at 7-7, and that wouldn't be the last interception for the Bucs. They trailed 21-14 late, but Aqib Talib had an interception of Carson Palmer at the 50-yard line with 2:28 left. giving the Bucs giving them some life. 2:28 to go. Josh Freeman then threw a game-tying 20-yard touchdown pass to Mike Williams with 1:34 left, and that tied the game up at 21. And then it looked like the Bengals were going to drive down the field and win it anyway. The Owens caught a 29-yard touchdown pass to start the next drive. But later in the drive, it was actually this guy that you see on the screen here, Sabby Piscatelli, intercepting Carson Palmer at the 35-yard line, returning it to the Cincinnati 34 with only 25 seconds left. So remember, this was a keep-to-leave interception just about 2 minutes earlier that got the Bucs back in the ballgame, and then another interception from Piscatelli as the Bengals were driving down the field trying to win the game. And from there, 25 seconds left at the Cincinnati 34, a 21-yard pass from Josh Freeman to Michael Spurlock led to a game-winning 31-yard field goal by Connor Barth. And this was kind of just classic Tampa Bay Buccaneer football. It was the defense fueling a comeback late in the game on the road against the Bengals and against a team that obviously had some firepower on offense, and the Bucs got it done late. So really an impressive one that I had honestly kind of forgotten about until I had done some research on some of these more memorable games in Bucs history, and one that was certainly one that to include on this list, as well as another one from the 2010 season. Just about a couple of months later, on December 12th, 2010, the Bucs were in the nation's capital. More or less, they don't actually play in the nation's capital, taking on Washington. And this was just, a sloppy game because of the weather and a lot of insanity in the fourth quarter. Another one that I watched with my good friend Everett, so shout out to him. This one was a scoreless first quarter, and then 10-3. Washington built a 10-3 leading going into halftime. The Bucs got within 10-9 going into the fourth on 44-yard and 35-yard field goals from Connor Barth. But then, they kind of kept it going. Josh Freeman hit Kellen Winslow for a 41-yard touchdown with 3:47 left. And then Freeman ran in a 2-point conversion. That made it 17-10 Bucs, but the chaos was only just getting started. Washington drove down the field, and if you'll remember, there was an issue with the chain gang in this game where it made it look like Washington got a 5th down. And I honestly thought for years that Washington got 5 downs down near the goal line to try to get that game-winning or game-tying touchdown. It wasn't until maybe a couple of years ago that I was looking back on this game and found out that actually there was an explanation for it. There was something going on. It said 4th down on the Fox broadcast, but it was not, and there was a chain gang issue. Anyway, Santana Moss catches a 6-yard touchdown pass on what looked like a 5th down for Washington. And that got Washington within 17-16 with 9 seconds to go. But a bad snap on the game-tying point after attempt led to a Bucs win. It was complete chaos. In the rain, bad snap. Washington doesn't have a chance to actually kick the game-tying extra point, and the Bucs hold on for the victory. There were sacks from Quincy Black and Geno Hayes in this game. Josh Freeman, he went 15 of 25 for 266 yards. That late touchdown and the late 2-point conversion run. And it was Connor Barth, 3 for 3 on field goals in this game. It was a very big performance from him. And Washington shows up on this list quite a bit. If you'll remember, obviously some of the early playoff games, there will be some, I think, in the future as well. I will spoil that. The Kirk Cousins, you like that game. I'm not ever thinking about that game probably ever again. I think it's bad that I even brought it up. But yeah, Washington's all over this 50 games list for being not a rival and not a divisional opponent. This is a team that shows up quite a bit. These two teams play some chaotic games from time to time. So, they just played them twice last season. The season opener where the Bucs won, and then, of course, the unfortunate end to the playoff run, the short playoff run for the Bucs last year. So these two teams probably will pop up again later on this list. But for now, that's going to end week 6 of this series. We're 30 games down, and we've got 20 to go in the coming weeks. And it's been a lot of fun. It's been a lot of fun here on the Pewter Report TV YouTube channel. We've got 20 games to go. We'll pick back up next week in 2012. Of course, the start of the Greg Schiano era. Again, this was some bad football being played during this time, but there were still some memorable games and some big moments in this franchise's history. Not a lot of fun to look back on the time frame as a whole, during this time, but there were some games that you kind of forget about because you try to block those out of your memory. So we'll be back next week with episode 7 of this series, and it will be 2012, and that will actually carry us all the way into 2020. As I mentioned, there's not a lot of great football being played during that time, so we will get into the early days of the 2020 season when Tom Brady arrived and all of that. But again, I want to thank you guys all for following along with this series, for watching, here on the Pewter Report TV YouTube channel. I hope you're enjoying it as much as I am. I'm enjoying looking back on Buccaneer history and leading up to the 50th season. And so, as someone who grew up in Tampa, watching the Bucs all my life, this has been a lot of fun to revisit some old memories and even learn some new things from some of these games, like the fact that it wasn't 5th down for Washington. It's been a lot of fun, and we'll be back next week with our 7th edition of it. But be sure you're staying tuned to pewterreport.com, Pewter Report TV, and all of our social channels as we're continuing to bring you the best Buccaneer coverage around all throughout training camp. We're well into training camp at this point. As you're watching this, or maybe a couple days later, just had a joint training camp practice, the Bucs and the Titans in Tampa, and then Saturday will be the preseason opener for the Bucs and Titans at Raymond James Stadium. So make sure you're staying tuned to everything we're doing at pewterreport.com here on Pewter Report TV, with the podcast, with all of our content. We will be back next week. So thank you for your support. Thanks for watching this video, and we will see you next time for another edition of the Bucs 50 Most Memorable Games.